Alright, so here we are. Which side is camera? My sourdough starter. You can't see it very well, but it's active. So I'm going to make my pre-ferment so tomorrow I can make bread. Alright, so for my pre-ferment, I'm going to take a half a cup of my active sourdough starter. So I had to take a little spoon and scrape out the rest of the starter because it got stuck in the thing. So now I know the camera setting is not that great. My apologies. I'll go back here. How about that? So I will. I'm just gonna scrape out all of the starter. So the recipe that I'm using calls for a half a cup of active sourdough starter, and then it also calls for. Let me wash my hands. I'm also gonna use I believe it's a half a cup. Yeah, half a cup of water and 2/3 of a cup of flour. So I'm using distilled water. Somebody who's been doing sourdough for, I think she said like 30 years or something crazy like that. She recommended to me that I use the distilled water because we know that it's pure. It doesn't have like chlorine or anything that's not chlorine or like fluoride that would kill my sourdough. So they recommended that I do distilled water. So I am. There's one. And there's two. I pull a little bit of extra. So it's easy as that. That's my pre-ferment, and I will leave that. Actually, I need the flour because I need to feed my starter again. But I'll leave that until tomorrow. Well, I'll mix it obviously, and then I'll leave it till tomorrow, and then I'll make my bread. Alright, so, good morning. We have the baby is a little grumpy because he's ready to take his first nap of the morning, but I really need to get this bread done. So, we have our pre-ferment ready to go to make the dough. I have to start off by melting. I've got one tablespoon of butter, if it comes off of the thing. There we go. 1 tablespoon of butter, and then the sweetener for this bread is honey. So we'll do 1 tablespoon of. I like raw honey. Use raw honey. We'll do 1 tablespoon of that. Alright. And we're also gonna add a teaspoon of salt as well. But I am going to wait until that gets a little bit liquidy before I add my salt. I'm using pink Himalayan salt. You don't have to. That's up to you. And then also you're gonna need some milk. So let me go get that. Alright, so we're also gonna wanna have 3/4 of a cup of milk. Just like that. And we'll add that after. Alright, so now, now that our butter is a little bit melted, I'm going to go ahead and add a teaspoon of sugar here. Just like so. Just so it doesn't get stuck to the bottom, we want it to be able to dissolve into the butter and honey mixture. So we're gonna just stir it around until it's mixed, and then once it's all mixed, I will turn off the burner and add our milk, and then we wait. We have to make sure it drops down to a comfortable temperature so it's not going to kill our sourdough starter. We can't let it do that, or we'll have a very flat bread. So we'll just let it keep melting, and we'll check back in when it's done. Alright, so let's try this. I decided to do a voiceover because the baby was crying in the background. He was overdue for a nap, so you couldn't hear anything that I was going to try and say anyways. So I figured I would try my best at a voiceover. So here I'm adding the sourdough starter with the liquid butter, honey, and salt mixture. So I'm using a spoon here to scrape the metal bowl, but we did in fact get a rubber spatula. All of ours are still in packing bins. We got a new one, so I won't be scraping the bowl with a metal spoon anymore, so that's fantastic. So here I'm just gonna mix the starter, or the pre-ferment, the pre-ferment and the liquid mixture as much as I can. It's not going to mix very well right now just because there's no flour and it's just the two liquid mixtures. So at this time I'm adding the flour. So I added 2 1/4 cups of flour, and you want to just mix it till it's combined, and then once it has combined, you want to let it sit for 10 minutes. So once the 10 minutes is up, you will knead it for a good 10 minutes, I would say, is appropriate for my mixer. So, and I just have the regular KitchenAid classic mixer. So once your mixture is combined, your dough is combined, you let it sit for 10 minutes, and 10 to 15 minutes, and then you knead it for 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your mixer. Alright, so we have here our dough. It's almost done. I'm also not a professional at this, so keep that in mind. So if any of you professional sourdough people are like, that's not what it's supposed to look like, please let me know. I have made this particular recipe once before, and so this dough came out very different than the first dough. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to think about that, what to do about it, or if I don't have to do anything at all. So now we're gonna wait. Let's see. Like 2 to 3 hours, it says, is the amount of time that it will typically take to double in size, or at least 1.5, because there are 2 rises in this recipe. So, yeah, we'll come back and check on it in a little bit. Alrighty, we're back. My dough has indeed doubled. So what we're going to do now is just going to punch it down. We'll knead it in like 2 or 3 more times. And then we're just going to let it sit again, and then let it rise again, and then we'll shape it. I don't know the reasoning for this. If you know, please let me know in the comments. I would be very interested. It was just on the recipe to let it rise twice, and then once I shape it, to let it rise again in the loaf pan. So, if you know why, please let me know. I'm very interested. Here we go. Alright, so our bread is ready to be shaped. And I didn't think about recording it, but I did already butter the pan. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some flour down on the, so I live currently in an apartment. Like I mentioned in the last video, we do share a living space with somebody, so our space is limited. We don't have much for counter space, so I'm using our glass top stove. So you can do this anywhere. Let me get my bread over here. So because it's a sandwich bread, it's going to be a little bit more on the sticky side, because we want it to be nice and moist. But I think it came out pretty alright. So what we're going to do is I'm going to flatten it out a little bit. So it's like a rectangle-ish. It's not quite, like, it's not exactly cooperating. But we'll kind of just rectangle it a little bit. Here we go. Like that. And then I'm going to pull this corner up. So it's kind of like a triangle. And then pull this corner up, so it's like another triangle. And then you're gonna roll the bottom of the triangle into the loaf, like so. You have this little loaf here, and then you want to make sure the ends are all tucked in. So you just kind of pinch them a little bit. This one is definitely a lot stickier and more like, oh, here, prime example of stickiness. You can hear the baby in the background. Here we go. I'm kind of just going to give it an extra coating because it is sticky. And I don't have one of those, like, I did have one before we moved, but like one of those bench scrapers. So I'm going to just put my loaf right on in the pan. And then, see, we got the loaf here. And I'm gonna just, you can't see, here we go, let it rise. It didn't stay the loaf, the perfect loaf that it was a second ago, but it was a little sticky. So I should have probably put a little more flour in it, but that's alright. So that's this step, and then I'll just cover it with the plastic again until it's risen, it's doubled in size, and then we'll bake it. So I'll see you then. Alright, so here we have our bread. It's kind of spilling over the side there a little bit. I let it rise too long, but we went for a run and then I forgot about the bread. So here we are, a little late, but that's okay. I'm gonna stick it on a pan, 375. So we're gonna make it to 375 and start. Alright, so our oven is at 375, so I'm gonna just take the bread. Hello, alright, so last night I didn't end up filming me taking the bread out of the oven and what it looked like because I went to go feed the baby and put the baby down, and as soon as I went in there, the alarm went off to take the bread out, which is my bad for not looking. So I had my husband take it out, and so it didn't get filmed. But here's the bread. I'm going to cut into it so you can see what the inside of it looks like. I'll make myself some toast. So, we'll get on that. I might have to go try and put this one down in the crib. He has not been napping, so I just tried to put him down for a nap, and he wouldn't. He was like wide awake. I'm like, great. So, again I say, if you have any tips on how to get the baby to sleep, let me know. I'm all ears. So let's get to that bread. Alright, so that's my video on how to make my, well, not my recipe, it is another recipe that I'm using, but that's how I make my sourdough bread. This is only the second time I've made it, but peanut butter and honey on it. I did over toast it, that's my own user error, but I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want to see the peanut butter recipe. Well, it's not even a recipe, it's just so easy. Don't even need really a recipe for it. So let me know if you want to see that, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!